Welcome to the OVW Podcast, the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling. I am Jackman Ochs. I'm joined today, as always, by my co-host, Brian Hines.
Hey, Jackman. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. First time that we've seen each other since we had a big day of watch-throughs and other stuff on the that we sat down and recorded the first ever Christmas food draft.
Yeah.
So it's been about 10 days since we've seen each other, which around here is kind of a long time.
It seems like a lifetime, yeah.
Without like jumping into anything too personal, I can tell that you had a really great vacation, great holiday.
I did.
And with your family
and Dakota, just so you know that I ate most of the things that I drafted in the food draft. There was no dressing, but that's okay because I will go back and make sure that I have more dressing because that's just how I roll. But salami rolls made an appearance. I got the Christmas ham from the Amish store. Well. It was a little expensive, but the warming it up and putting the glaze on it was exceptional.
We did see a picture of the infamous Munster chicken.
Yeah, which I wasn't able to post any photo comments on that thread, and I'm not sure why. But since it was Christmas, it quickly left my head because there were other fun family things to do. So I will see whether I can get back to that.
Right, and this is going to be a special episode for us, because there's some breaking news in the wrestling community. Chris Jericho has been hit with accusations of sexual harassment, and since we're the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling, that we're going to really talk about anything other than Ohio Valley Wrestling on it, right? Oh wait, no, we're just here to talk about OVW, right? That's what we do.
You threw me. I wasn't sure what was going on there. I've been completely out of the wrestling world for a week, and in my own little marshmallow wonder world, and
guy's career might be over with. That potentially could be the fact. That's not what we're here to discuss. That's not what we're here to discuss.
No, we'll talk about that off mic.
Here at the OVW, here at the Ohio Valley Wrestling Podcast, the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling, we try, other than when we're talking about food, to only talk about OVW. So actually what we'll be doing here today is we will be predicting. I was kind of thinking it would be advantageous to us and to our listeners, and just good content in general, if we kind of did every 3 months where we predicted the next 3 months of Ohio Valley Wrestling, and then at the 3-month mark we went back and checked our predictions against what actually happened.
Cool.
That way we kind of we can kind of really cut down on all of the wild speculation, or at least dignify the wild speculation of this podcast a little bit that way.
Okay, well, I couldn't predict what I'm going to do tomorrow, much less what's going to happen at OVW in the next 3 months, but I'll give it a shot.
I'm happy for any opportunity to sit here behind the camera and judge you guys. So and to be comprehensive, I do have the complete roster of the OVW up in front of me, so I can make sure we get we are well-rounded in our discussions.
I will pull that up right now as well. That is a good point, Tyni Brian. And may I take a moment to say happy late birthday?
You're only late a day. So
I know. I'm only
much.
late a day. We should make this the birthday episode because it is the episode in between both of our birthdays, yours being December 31st and mine being this coming Thursday, January 4th.
When the OVW will finally be back in action.
Mm-hmm. And we won't have to try to fill so much microphone time with anything other than talking about Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Because that is our central focus here, is the unofficial podcast of the OVW.
Well, that's true.
We don't really bring up any of those other ones,
other than when I do. Other than when it happens. To be fair.
There are times that they exist.
I still watch them, but I can't keep up as stringently as I used to because there's just too much else going on. Really, there isn't. I mean, I watch the other ones for fun, but this is the one that I actually am into, and I am more studious about.
Before we jump into that, there is something I would like to peel back the veneer a little bit, I guess.
You would have to sand veneer off, but I see your point.
I'm not very handy if you can't tell. Has the past couple of weeks been for you? Because I know for me personally, and I think I could probably speak for everyone here on the podcast, this couldn't have happened at a better time for us. The hiatus for OVW.
No.
It's been really nice to take a couple weeks off from OVW and recenter why we're here on this podcast and what we like about OVW and what we love about OVW. And we all we do is cover it. All we do is eat pizza and talk to wrestlers and cover this thing. So I couldn't imagine being involved in Ohio Valley Wrestling, falling on your back 30 times a week for Ohio Valley Wrestling, and how much of a reprieve this break, this hiatus must feel if you're a performer or you're a writer or you're backstage or you're Joe Cooley or whoever you are in Ohio Valley Wrestling.
I did notice Al Snow posted a picture from the beach. So congratulations to Al Snow, who I'm certain doesn't listen to this podcast, but enjoy your well-earned vacation.
Absolutely.
I guess,
and here's to you, Joe Cooley.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I just want to take a moment to reflect. It's been an insane 6 months for us here at the podcast. It's been for the roster of Ohio Valley Wrestling, everyone involved with Ohio Valley Wrestling. If we thought we had it bad, if we thought that it was intense for us, I couldn't imagine being in their seat, in their shoes, in the last 6 months of what Ohio Valley Wrestling's gone through. So I know that for us personally on this podcast, the last 2 weeks off of Ohio Valley Wrestling has been kind of a nice breather. And I would just like to share the sentiment that however we feel about that breather, the people that are involved in this television program every week must feel that 10,000 times what we feel.
I would certainly imagine so. I mean, all we do is get together one time a week, a couple times a week, and just shoot the shit with one another, and occasionally get to have the opportunity to talk to wrestlers and interview them. But I mean, nobody's taking chair hits, nobody's taking stunners, DDTs, suplexes, none of that.
I did take a chop once. You can find that on our social media.
That's true.
That's
I did
true.
too.
That's
I
true.
did too. By the way, that reminds me, I did hear from good old Crixus this week.
Excellent.
Give us some scoop.
He's actually back in the States, and he's around for a little while, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to make some time and
I think that
see
is
him
actual scoop. I was just being kind of silly, but no, I mean, I don't think that we had discussed on this podcast where he was back in America. So
we hadn't gotten a chance to. I mean, I was completely checked out. I was doing family stuff and running errands and hanging out, having fun with my boy who also had a birthday the day before your birthday. The last week of the year for me personally as a family is something we like to call Christmas birthday-cation. Because everybody in my immediate family is born between December 18th and February 16th. So my mom, then my son, my sister-in-law, me, and then my niece the day after that, and then my brother rounds it out on February 16th. My dad, who is no longer with us, was born April 7th, but this week of the year is when we all get together and do like the ultra top secret Hines things that I'm not allowed to talk to anybody about.
Are there 57 of them?
There are 5.
Well, I was going to say, there's a reason that everyone in your family has like such close birthdays, and it's because, people are getting that birthday gift all in the same,
It'd be like that sometimes.
I always think that stuff like that is like kind of like genuinely funny when, life happens in a way that is very predictable and funny in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. This has been a weird episode so far. We're really sorry. We're kind of getting back on our feet here.
Yeah, I literally just walked into the building like a couple minutes before we got to this.
And don't even talk to B. Hines until he had his cup of coffee, for real.
Just don't.
So why don't we start with
that was the worst joke I've ever told on this whole podcast.
Why don't we start?
I've had some suckers on here too.
Just to deep breath.
Clean take NPR voice.
I'm sorry. Somebody secretly replaced my coffee with Folgers crystals, and I just couldn't. I just about lost my shit.
All right. Clean take, Ezra.
Everybody breathe.
Lion face. Lemon face. Ooh.
Think Lakshmi Singh right now.
Channel your tattoo.
All right.
Just you and Terry.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to the OVW Podcast, the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling. This is a really special episode of Ohio Valley Wrestling, the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling this week. We are going to be predicting everything at least I guess the next 3 months worth of what we think will happen on Ohio Valley Wrestling Television, up through I guess what we will call the March pay-per-view, whatever it's called
for the winter.
Year. Yeah,
right. This is the winter predictions, and we'll have
months.
Spring predictions, and then we'll have summer predictions, and then we'll have autumn predictions.
We'll be calling this by semester, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for intents and purposes for this episode, I will be going as Hines Stradamus.
Okay.
And
I'll just still be Jackman Ochs.
Sounds good.
With a name like that, you gotta stay on brand, baby.
But stay off social media, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So why don't we start with the
Trust
belt
me.
scene?
I'll say this, and then we'll jump into it for real. I got recognized in public, not for the podcast, but for other things, and I was reminded very quickly why I stay off of social media.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cryptic.
There we go. All right.
We'll save that story for the Patreon.
I'm gonna say here, first things first. EC3.
Yep.
Is out of the promotion by March.
So, I don't know. I know Hines was completely checked out. I watched the 2 OVW shows for the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's, and they showed both of the Nightmare Rumbles. First the women's, then the men's. I was surprised to see EC3 had a huge involvement in the 2023 men's Nightmare Rumble. That was actually the point where EC3 had his heel turn. Like before that, he was basically aligned against Spectacular and all of those guys, and that was basically the
beginning of the faction.
Yeah, what became the faction started right there. So I think a year-long stint is. Do we think that EC3 drops the belt on Saturday?
I think that EC3 will be there.
Or be square.
My prediction is that he's out by March. I'm going to be honest. I think that that's me being optimistic. I think more realistically, he's probably there until like
the
August.
Summer?
Yeah. But I do think that based on the main event of the last pay-per-view, the last show of the whole year, based on the reaction that match got, it was cold. It was flat. Like
the non-reaction, yeah.
Spectacular is going to be able to. You're going to be able to hang your hat around him and really build stories around him because he is an OVW guy. Eventually, the idea of the outside guy coming into OVW is just going to have to be, for it to still be challenging and still put butts in seats, it's going to have to be either a completely different story or a completely different guy. For me, it's got to be a completely different guy. EC3 has run his course in OVW for me.
I totally agree. I mean, and to echo what you said, we were at Christmas Chaos, and when it was time to change the ring ropes for the chains.
Yeah, the Chained Oblivion match or whatever they called it.
A third of the people left.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw where where he was going to be part of the pay-per-view coming up, and I just thought, for me, instinctively, this feels like it's over.
Yes,
I
agree.
With he and Mr. Spectacular. It feels like that was a natural culmination of that story,
yep.
And they should break up and see other people. Is pretty much what I'm saying.
Well, and what does it say about the money that you're spending on someone like EC3 and the prominent spot that you're putting him in week in and week out? I've often referred to EC3's Thursday Night Raw. There's no way that he doesn't have some sort of control over his segments. Like, they feel so different than every other segment. I just think that for the money that you're spending on him and obviously the reaction that you're getting out of him, we're at a point of diminishing return here. If a third of the people, and what it comes down to is that OVW is playing with a whole new audience. You know, 2 years ago, people would have never, a majority of the people there would have never gotten up before the main event because they were there to see the main event, because they're there as wrestling fans to see wrestling. They're going to see all of it that they paid their money for. With KSR and Netflix and everything else, these aren't
much more casual fans.
These aren't wrestling fans. And
not to they're fans. They're there. They
they're
paid
there.
their
Yeah,
money to sit in the seat. Let's not call them fans.
Absolutely. But
they are a different sort of fan.
Right. They are looking at the scoreboard at the end of the game and saying, could we come back from this? No, we're going to go ahead and beat traffic. And unfortunately, to use that as a comparison, OVW is getting beat in the fourth quarter by EC3.
Interesting observation.
So we've had a lot to say about EC3 over the last few weeks.
I just think for OVW, I mean, it's palpable on television that match was flat. It didn't go anywhere.
And yet that's the match they chose to show during the break. They showed that. That was one of the matches they showed the first week of the break.
Well, because you're spending all this money on this guy who's supposed to be your biggest star, and he's just not he's not connecting with people the way he should be. He's not the star that he thinks he is, clearly. Would love to have you buy EC3 so you can give me a noogie or whatever, but I just don't see. I think his time is done in OVW.
Yeah, I don't have anything against anybody, but in this particular situation, I mean, he did what he was brought in to do, which was.
Did he? Well, I feel like they were meant to get into those chains a little bit more than they did.
Okay, I'm not talking about that match specifically, but I'm just talking about his presence in OVW. They brought him in at the Big One 2022.
Yep.
And he has been part of the OVW and the title picture for about a year and a half now. And I kind of feel like that was probably the extent of his involvement. And if they plan on doing other things, that's awesome. But let's get to it and let's make them interesting. Because, I mean, I feel like Pectacular needs a new challenge. I feel like EC3 needs a new challenge. Like I said a minute ago, they need to break up and see other people. No offense, and I'm not going to pick sides. I love you both.
So you think this gimmick is over, man?
I think it's been over, man, for a long time.
Waka waka.
All right.
No, and I would like to say before we completely move on that I think that this is a theme that we're going to run into a lot during the course of making predictions, not only during this podcast, but moving forward during this series of podcasts, is that OVW does have a deficit of talent at the top. And it's been the same handful of guys at the top for a long time. And for some of those guys, I might disagree with it, but I overall get it. Like, I get where they're coming from. I get why they're on top. EC3 has been on top for 18 months. And I don't get it anymore.
No.
So I think I think that we can end there. Where do we want to go? I want to
Let's go on to.
Well, wait. Hold up. Before we go into anything else, I meant to mention this at the top of the show, and I totally forgot. So my apologies. But we would like to offer our condolences to the veteran Jack Vaughn, who recently just lost his father right before the new year.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's right. You're not on social media. It was yesterday.
Seriously,
he posted the news.
That is awful.
Yeah. We are terribly sorry for your loss, and we appreciate everything that you've done. And I know that dealing with that is difficult, but dealing with that during the holidays is so much worse.
Yeah,
so,
everybody named Brian on this podcast has lost their dad, so we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do want to say, like, I had no idea. Thank you for sharing that, Brian, and as finding it out as a person for the first time and as, like, on behalf of the podcast. Like, seriously, that sucks, man.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I thought for sure you knew
sorry.
because you guys had gone back and forth all weekend, and I'm like, you guys are still blowing up my phone, and I'm trying to play video games at Eastgate Mall.
Yeah.
So I kind of muted you guys for a while, and then I tried to circle back around to pick up what you guys were putting down, and there was a lot, and it ended up being like 10, 11 o'clock, and I was like, I'm out.
It's fine. This is the right moment to bring this up because do we feel like Jack Vaughn has just given up the heavyweight title to our man Tony Gunn?
Mm-hmm.
Do we feel like that feud is over? Is Tony going to be... Because we know Real One Enzo is... Although I've not seen... He's not on the poster.
No, and he's not on the roster either.
For the Nightmare Rumble. He's not on the website.
No.
So...
I don't feel like he is out of that title picture at all. As a matter of fact, I think that...
You mean Vaughn here?
Correct. I don't feel like the veteran will be counted out of that at all. Knowing enough about him, I know he's going to be after Tony Gunn as soon as he takes care of what he needs to take care of. And Enzo just happens to be somebody who was in the right place at the right time and is sticking his nose in, trying to he's trying to get that gold too. Everybody is.
Sure.
I think this is the feud that I have the most strong feelings on, and I'll say that this is maybe less of a prediction and more of a fantasy booking session on my part. But I think that you keep Jack Vaughn out of that title picture, not because he doesn't deserve it, but I think that he built such a great name for himself in Ohio Valley Wrestling on the back of that title that he doesn't necessarily need it right now. You go in, you have him squash 3 fucking undercard guys a month, and then you have him wrestle a great match at the pay-per-view against somebody that's up and coming. I think that's the best use of Jack Vaughn. I think that Enzo, Real One, whatever he's called, possibly wins the Nightmare Rumble, even though I think that would be a mistake. I think that that's probably what we should do. So he would then go into a program with Tony Gunn. You probably get like 3 to 4 matches out of that. By that time, Cal Hero has lost the Rush Division Championship. Tony Gunn and Cal Hero have tons of story with each other, both as allies and as enemies. I think that Cal Hero's first title shot at the OVW Heavyweight Championship is against a heel Tony Gunn.
How do you think they make the heel turn?
Well, your only other option is that you try to get a heavyweight title angle out of 2 babies, and that's just not how OVW tells stories. I think what you do is you capitalize on some of the old heat that Tony Gunn and Cal Hero have had. Like, these guys have oodles and oodles of stories. I would also like to say that when Cal Hero challenges the first time, he loses.
Well, of course.
To Tony Gunn, a heel Tony Gunn. And then he goes off, and maybe you bring Jack Vaughn in a little bit of a different package, or you've built somebody else into that title scene at that point. But I think that, like I said, this ain't a fantasy or a prediction as much as it's a fantasy booking. But I think that Tony Gunn is ripe for a heel turn, and I think that it's got to be Cal Hero that brings that change out of him. And I think that Cal Hero needs a title shot at the big one by August, basically.
What if it were to go the other way and Tony Gunn brings the heel turn out of Cal Hero?
I would love to see Cal Hero do it. I'd love to see him take on kind of a bad boy image, wear a leather jacket. I think it'd be great. What do you think, Jackman?
I am curious to how he would be received as a heel, I guess. Not that he couldn't do it, but we've never seen him do it.
Well, I mean, the kid's 22 years old.
Yeah, but I just wonder, like, when he's a heel, or if he's ever a heel, like, does that kill any goodwill that he's ever had?
I think if they did the heel turn like a rebel without a cause kind of thing, where he's just sort of
angry
rebellious,
at the world,
angry, and then he can that gives him the redemption arc.
I'm afraid of the Cal Hero heel turn. I'm afraid of the Cal Hero heel turn in terms of that. I think that it kills all of the momentum that he's ever had. I just don't know. I don't know how you get him back to being a baby.
Well, I mean, it's a tale as old as time. Wrestling is all about the turn and the turn and the turn.
To everything, turn.
Yes. So, and we do think that this is the belt, the heavyweight. Yes, Jackman. Yes, every turn. We do think that this is the belt that the Nightmare
The Birds sucked until they started playing country. That's a fact. Okay, go
on.
The bird is the word, man.
Interesting.
Everybody knows about the bird.
So, the heavyweight belt will be the belt that the Nightmare Rumble is about, the men's Nightmare Rumble, right? Not the national. We're going to leave that for.
I think that the national is. I think it's a little too part-timey right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of its own thing. It's
it almost exists outside of Ohio Valley. It's on Ohio Valley Wrestling television, but it's so insulated of a picture.
It's almost an NWA thing.
Yeah, it's just like it's either Jesse versus somebody. It's never 8 guys have a shot at it. It's Jesse versus somebody until Jesse wins it back, and then it's Jesse versus somebody until Jesse wins it back.
So basically, what you're saying is that's Jesse's belt.
It is.
I wish I had Jesse's belt. Why can't I find a belt like that?
I watched Boogie Nights recently. Have you seen Boogie Nights recently?
You asked me about this a while ago, and the answer is still no. I haven't seen it in like 20-some years.
You should rewatch it. It's really good.
Does it have anything to do with Jesse's belt?
That it has something to do with Jesse's girl.
Okay.
Oh.
So would you like to hear my prediction?
Well.
Sure, let's do it.
I think that our good friend Jack Vaughn will enter number 1 in the Nightmare Rumble and win it. And that I think Jack Vaughn and Tony Gunn are not done.
No.
That's my prediction.
I think Enzo. I think somebody. While we're talking about the Nightmare Rumble as a singular event, I think you have somebody like a Jack Vaughn, but not necessarily a Jack Vaughn, who goes a really, really far way. I'm not saying number 1 and number 30, but let's say number 8, 12 to 30, and then Enzo comes out at the end. And he wins.
He pulls some Doink the Clown bullshit, and lo and behold, ta-da, you're the winner.
Well, I mean, the way that Enzo is, the way that he will be portrayed against Tony Gunn, inevitably, is you have to bring him in as a smarmy kind of
loudmouth.
Yeah. He has to screw,
because that is his strongest point.
Yeah, he can come in by winning at 30. He can come in and really make somebody who just went, did the Iron Man performance by saying, "Oh, well, this guy's a part timer. He's only here for gold." Like, it's. I think the smart thing to do is Enzo comes in late, like 28 to 30 range, and Enzo wins after somebody did an Iron Man. I'm not saying number 1 to number 30, but like 5 to 8 to 12 to 30. Like,
yeah.
So. Last year's now it is last year. The 23 Women's Nightmare Rumble, Haley J entered number 1 and won it. Just so we're all clear, this is a trope that OVW is known to do.
Well, I mean that is the point of the Royal Rumble match, or
it's for somebody to come in first and beat everybody.
Yeah,
sure.
Or for someone to come in last and beat the person who just beat everybody.
Yeah.
Plus, OVW does have the extra little thing where they bring somebody back.
Yeah, but that's probably one of my favorite parts about the Rumble style match. You don't know who is going to be. I mean, you might assume that you know most of the people, but every once in a while somebody will come in that you've completely forgotten about, and you'll get that pop, and maybe they'll make a big splash, and maybe not.
I think that there's kind of a perfect person on the roster to bring in that Iron Man spot that I was talking about, because people will be so excited to see him back, be pissed whenever he loses. It's Isaiah.
Oh yeah,
he was a big part of last year. They were pushing him hard.
Well, if you remember, he came and helped Team OVW during the match at the big one.
And I was still new enough that I was like, what's that? Now I've watched enough back catalog that I kind of know that that's sort of his thing is to... I'm
just surprised that we didn't see him. Honestly, if we can go back to one of our podcasts where I thought that Cashflow's mystery partner was going to be Isaiah.
I remember that.
And that's because I was trying to deny the inevitable of what I was going to get really mad about, and I'm still really mad about, was that it was going to be Malachi Shira. But
you are.
On that point... Malachi Shira and Cashflow turn heel.
I think Cashflow is definitely turning heel. He's already getting the strut and the grin. Like I'm smelling a heel turn at least for Cashflow.
Well, and I've said this on this podcast. Name me one way that the Golden Lions, Malachi Shira and Cashflow are baby faces, other than that people cheer for them. They don't wrestle like babies. They don't really have anything about them that would suggest that they're baby faces, other than people cheer for them instead of boo them. So I think that there's only so much goodwill in the world. and we have a really good opportunity to teach some of these newer fans about like what heartbreak is in wrestling by turning Cash Flow and Malachi Shira heels, at least one of the two of them, if not both of them, as a unit. I just think that that's like...
I think I hadn't really thought about them kind of going as a unit, but it makes sense. Malachi Shira has been a heel more than he's been a face this whole time.
I don't know. I'm going to have to think on that.
Let's come back and talk more about the tag scene in a minute. But let's we've got a whole other Nightmare Rumble and a whole other championship. Let's talk about our good friend Freya the Slayer, the women's champion, and the women's Nightmare Rumble.
I thought it was interesting that she won in the match where Haley was the special guest referee.
Sure.
I thought that it was maybe not the best time for Tiffany to lose, which kind of makes me think that, unfortunately, Freya is maybe what in lay business they call a transitional champion.
Sure.
I'm not sure who comes and takes it off of her. I just don't know how long for the world is this title reign is.
So we do know that there is a street fight between Haley J and Tiffany Nueves at the Nightmare Rumble. Nieves. Sorry, my apologies.
And if you're a fan of Tiffany Nieves,
stay tuned to this feed.
Stay tuned to this very feed.
Is it a Sesame Street fight match? I would love to see one of those. I mean, they've got the garbage can.
Use cookies and the letter B and just go crazy.
This match has been brought to you by the letter B for Beatdown. I mean, it would make perfect sense. Al said that he was Kermit the Frog.
No, look, you've already convinced me. So
there's your good idea for the day, kids.
I am on the OV Wrestling Facebook page.
Okay.
And now that we're talking about the women's division and the women's Nightmare Rumble, I've got some people who are coming to the Rumble where they've confirmed on their social media. Want to get if you guys have heard of these people, and if you have, what your thoughts are.
Okay.
So we've got Jamin Olivencia. Yeah, Olivencia. Oh, wait, that is...
Can you order that at the Olive Garden?
That looks to be a gentleman who's going to be in the... No. Well, it's so dark, it's hard to tell. There he is with Certified Luke Curtis. Okay, so we'll just leave that one. Lovely Miss Larkin. Have we heard of Lovely Miss Larkin?
I don't believe I have.
It sounds like we've got some research to do before the Nightmare Rumble.
And she seems to like the color pink based on the video that I'm seeing.
Well, you'll have that.
And we will, if you don't want to find the actual OVW social media, go to our fan site and we will put those in there. Let's see, who else do we have here?
How would they find that fan site?
It's out there on just search for OVW or Unofficial OVW fan site on Facebook. So what about Lilith Grimm?
I did see where she was coming in, but no,
That's the lady with the Warhammer. She was in the Nightmare Rumble last year.
Badass.
Yeah, and in fact, in the video that she is in her ring gear, and her Warhammer is actually flaming, like it is on fire. It is the ass is definitely bad. And I've seen her compete a little in the Rumble a couple years ago, or from last year, and yeah, she's an interesting competitor. And then we've got, do we know a lady named Hollingshead? She's got some gray face makeup on. She looks like she should be in the Fallen, really.
I think I have seen her, actually.
No.
So, new faces, certainly in the women's division.
We have our work cut out for us over the next couple of days.
We do.
We need to...
There will be research and what have you and stuff.
One thing I would like to, I guess, kind of moving forward a little bit so that we don't sound like complete boobs on here, not knowing anybody who's coming to the Nightmare Rumble. I think that newly crowned Kentucky Country Boy Heavyweight Champion, Star Rider.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Malachi just figure out which order those words are supposed to go in and just cut around it. I think that it's time for him to have a lengthy title run. This is the one guy on the that's a current champion that I say let's let him go. Let's let him go.
He gets insane pops.
Yeah,
he really does. Like, the crowd loves him.
He's as reliable as a worker possibly can be. He gets a great crowd reaction. I just think that, especially with the other reigns that you've had with that championship, it would be a disservice to Star Rider to cut his short.
Sure.
Yeah, and he's worked really hard, and he deserves it. He deserves a good long title run. And here's to you, Star Rider. I hope that you get that.
Well, and it's time for a baby to kind of have that championship too.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Crixus was kind of a baby.
Yeah, but
he's badass.
He totally was one of the biggest baby faces in the whole place. But Superior Tony Evans is such a nuclear heel that I think it's just time, for us to. We like Country Boy, obviously. We want our partners here in the bluegrass to be accepted as heroes, not as villains. So I think it's maybe a good time for that particular belt to have a long, lengthy babyface reign. And I can't think of anybody better than Star Rider to do it. Can't think of another babyface on the roster that deserves it more, and is like perfect for the way that belt is portrayed. It's prestigious, but it's not the biggest belt on the roster. It's perfect for a guy like Star Rider.
Yeah. So if we ever get him in here, we need to ask if that comes with a supply of Country Boy assorted products, and will he share?
This has been a question of ours for a long time.
Yeah. Well, our very first interview was with Crixus when he was the reigning Country Boy Kentucky heavyweight champion.
That's true.
Yeah, we weren't very good at this thing back then.
No, we hope to get him back, and Freya. Freya.
Yeah, seriously. Freya and Crixus taught us so much about how to do this thing the right way, and Freya, nobody has gotten a shorter end of what we know to do now than Freya. We cannot wait to have her back, seriously.
Yeah. Freya was actually our first interview. We released Crixus first because we had gotten better about it even after that first one with Freya. We were better.
We are marginally better now.
We are slowly creeping up towards acceptable.
The biggest jump we ever made quality wise was between the first and the second interview we ever did.
Yeah.
Everything past that has been decent at best.
We're slowly moving up towards acceptable.
So kind of back to the guess that I had made about Cal Hero moving forward and going into the OVW Heavyweight Championship title picture. I think he can't do that without losing that belt, the Rush Division belt. TW3. Got to lose it to TW3.
Oh, that would be great. I would love to see TW3 get the belt.
We were talking kind of like a baby versus baby thing. I think that is, if we want to see baby versus baby angle, it's those two guys. They can put on a hell of a show. I'd love to see like a 2 out of 3 thing with them, just
2 out of 3 falls maybe.
Well, no, I just mean like
a series,
a best of 3 or a best of 5,
like the World Series,
because those guys could put on without stipulations, without anything, just a legitimate story, bell to bell story, no belts. I mean, the big belt, but no belt whippings, no fireballs. No hangings, no mace, no ambulances. Just like, I want to see Cal reestablish himself as a mat guy.
Yeah.
I think that there's no better way to do that than with someone like TW3. I think series between the two of them would burn it down. And I think that I think that's the perfect way for Cal Hero to lose that belt, is valiantly at the last minute of like a best of 3 or a best of 5.
Like, really kind of push it to the outer limit.
And then, of course, they hug each other. They shake each other's hand at the end. There's no hard feelings. And you see that the fight was just about the belt and the integrity of the sport.
It wasn't about animosity towards your opponent. It was about, can I beat you? Am I better than you today?
Yeah.
And whoever wins, just be a celebration of, hey, we went this far. You did it fair and square. Congratulations.
We don't have to talk about each other's mom.
Yeah, there needs to be confetti, and there needs to be like champagne, like when Hogan won the belt from the Iron Sheik, which is almost 40 years ago. It's 40 years ago this month. About 40 years and 3 weeks to be exact.
I think we will try to cover that in a watch along segment.
We should.
I think
we definitely should.
Yeah, I think that would be. I mean, we want to try to do kind of the watch alongs as a different thing, I guess. So
yeah, it's still in the same vein, but it's it's like regular Doritos versus Cool Ranch Doritos, or sometimes Flaming Hot Doritos. But before I forget,
have you ever had Flaming Hot Cool Ranch Doritos? Because those exist and they're amazing.
Ew,
wouldn't that just be kind of lukewarm Doritos?
No, it's a whole different thing altogether. But they are.
So is the hot side hot and the cool side cool, like the McDLT?
Like the McDLT?
Yeah.
No.
Wow. I mean, you're old enough to get that reference, Hines. I am surprised you got that one, Jackman.
Yeah, I am too.
Good.
So good job.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the McDLT commercial.
Yeah.
In general.
And before I forget, T-Dub, I still got that VCR working. If you've got some old 80s tapes from back in the day, we come over and watch. We'll grill out or something like that.
Yeah.
I think we should
can watch Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Right.
I feel like if anybody's got a VHS copy of that, it's TW3.
I wouldn't be surprised. And my VHS collection is pretty limited right now. I'm starting back over from scratch. I don't know what I have. And
I have a copy of Boogie Nights you can have.
On VHS?
Oh, yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I think we should call this match between TW3 and Cal Hero the Wisconsin Classic.
Yeah.
Because they, and I love that they merge together. I like to call them the Wisconsin Corner when I go hang out.
That's kind of cheesy, but you know what? I dig it.
Yeah, we have signed pictures of both of them behind you.
Yeah,
actually,
that's true. We do.
Do we feel like we said everything about the women's title, by the way, in the women's division?
No.
Do we feel like so we don't feel like Freya, unfortunately, is going to keep that belt long term? Do you think it's going back to Tiffany?
I think that they drop it on a television just for the sake of dropping it on a TV. Like OVW usually only changes belts other than that house show.
Except for when they don't.
Yeah. It usually doesn't happen on TV a lot unless it's like a emergency. I think that Freya loses it on TV just to kind of remind people, hey, anything can happen. This is why you show up to Davis Arena. This is why you tune in to us on Fight or on your local access provider. Anything can happen.
All right. So do we have more to say about the belt, about the tag team champions and the tag team scene? I really feel like that Beaches and Cream are going to. Well, I just love them, so I want people to stop booing them, please. But what do you guys think?
As far as the tag team division goes, I don't know, man. I still think it's a three-way fight between the Golden Lions, Beaches and Cream, Keith, and the Overman.
You want me to predict it? You want me to fantasy book it?
Well, yeah, as long as you label them properly, you can do both.
Prediction is that Beaches and Cream and the Golden Lions go back and forth for quite some time. I think that's probably the two hottest things that you have going in that division. I don't see that momentum going anywhere. I don't think it has to go anywhere. I would be fairly entertained by that, in all honesty. My fantasy booking of it is Cashflow turns heel on Mahabali Shera, and they're forced to defend the titles together
while they hate each other.
Yeah.
Oh, that's love. That would fix a lot.
Y'all can have that one.
Y'all come back now. Here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing. I mean, if it were me and just whatever pops into my head and what I think would be entertaining to me, I would love to see the Fallen get into that conversation and take a crack at them, because I mean, really, as far as two-person teams or three-person teams, I don't see anybody out there in OVW that is as tight a unit as those guys, the Rev and ZDP and Damone Salavino.
As much as I tried to dislike them at the kind of 4 or 5 months ago, I was not high on them. I actually probably couldn't agree more. I wouldn't have come to that conclusion myself, but if we're trying to deviate those belts in a completely different direction, you put them on it's got to be the Fallen.
Yeah.
I think they deserve it.
Well, on a similar related note, let's talk about the fact that OVW's social media presence has been dropping videos attributed to dysfunction for months. like the "we see you" and conspiracies and we're going to destroy everything. So there's got to be a push coming for them somewhere.
Oh, I would think so. I mean, you can't make videos about cutting the tags off of mattresses for like 4 or 5 months and then just not deliver and not cut the tags off of mattresses. I mean, that's just...
You're a wild man, Brian.
I know.
I think actually he's suggesting that what's their name? Dysfunction? Sorry, I'd already forgotten. I think that he was suggesting that they're about as dangerous in the tag team division as cutting a mattress off of cutting the tag off your mattresses.
I see. Oh, well.
No, that wasn't exactly what I had in mind. But I just kind of feel like they're being teased, and we'll just see whether, I mean, shit or get off the pot at some point.
So one more little tidbit to toss into this discussion of the tag thing is one member of the Overmen, the tag team Overmen of Luke Curtis and Joe Mack, that being the person of
What Up Certified.
Yeah, certified Luke Curtis. I don't know if you guys saw, but he was at a certain promotion in Connecticut.
He was.
Hanging out with an enormous belt of a different promotion that we don't talk about because we're the unofficial podcast of the OVW.
But we will.
But he was there.
In this instance, give credit where credit is due.
Yes.
If there was one guy that I think is the textbook version of what that promotion is looking for, I think it is Luke Curtis right now.
Yeah.
I think he's got charisma for days. I think he's a really solid
moves.
I think he's a really solid wrestler, wrestler.
He's good on the mic.
Yeah.
He's great on the mic.
He is a very chiseled
right, he's definitely got the look.
He's very, very, but I guess I was going to say he's a unformed piece of clay. He's a very good looking unformed piece of clay. But I do think that he has all the potential in the world, and it's just going to take somebody to give him
the right gimmick.
No, he just needs something.
Foot in the door.
He just needs something. He needs. It's time for him to
a valet.
No. He just needs
to get Joe Mack off his back.
I don't know. No. You guys are trying to bait me into saying things I'm not trying to say, and I won't stand for it this time.
Well, then sit there.
But no, he needs something that somebody at the next level can give him in terms of whittling something away from him to unlock what is obviously there.
I don't know.
Yeah, because if anyone is ready for the next level, it is certified Luke Curtis.
And and I just think that he has the skill set to really thrive and flourish under that particular.
And Luke, if you're listening, just don't forget the little people when you're in the next level of places we don't actually talk about much.
Seriously, no.
Well, that brings up an interesting point. I did see that, and I forgot about it. I think I even mentioned something. I sent him a message on Instagram, but
as did I.
That brings up an interesting point, and we've been skirting around this the whole entire time we've been talking. What in the world do you think Mick Foley is going to do? Or
seems like a good time to talk about it. Sure.
This is supposed to be a predictions podcast.
What is he going to be doing at the Nightmare Rumble? Do you think he's just going to be selling Sockos?
I'm going to buy
stories? If he's there selling them, yeah, you bet your ass I am.
We'll buy 4, but
I think I don't know, to be honest, because Mick Foley is Mick Foley, and you want him to be there every week, and you want
give him an apartment over the Davis Arena. He'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, you want someone like Mick Foley, as he is. He's not a WWE guy. He's a wrestling guy. He's a wrestling fans guy. He is such a asset to have we saw him speak, right? You were there that
evening.
Yeah,
we weren't together.
No, but we were.
We were
this
both
was prior
there,
to this podcast.
In fact,
we had known each other, but
3 people in this room were at that Mick Foley performance. You, me, and Malachi.
I was meant to, and
it was supposed to be you and Trey, but instead it was me and Malachi.
Right, and I ended up doing something else for somebody who didn't appreciate it. But I saw Mick Foley years before that
Give us
in
some
Covington.
scoop.
Nah, it's not worth it. But while we're on the subject, Mick Foley has a very distinct look, and these days it's mostly graphic T-shirt, much like I'm wearing, and a Hawaiian shirt of sorts. Now, 2 things I'm noticing about the Nightmare Rumble poster are Mick Foley is wearing Cactus Jack attire.
That's the flannel.
The red flannel,
and
such as I'm wearing here, and he's doing the bang bang.
Okay.
And the poster itself resembles Stranger Things Season 4.
Are you saying that he is going to be...
things could turn upside down. I don't know.
He's going to be overrated because he's never been overrated.
No.
I don't know. I just an observation.
He's going to be Vecna, right?
Do I think that these 2 things are related? Not necessarily.
He's going to get his hand chopped off and his eye gouged out, and everybody's going to try to get him because they give them real powers.
Isn't that what happened to Brave Sir Robin?
Well, he ran away.
Well, yeah, Brave Sir Robin ran away, but I mean, wasn't his eye plucked out and his whatever? And
there was a whole list.
Yeah, there was a whole list.
Is this like a fucking book or something?
It's
fucking
Monty Python and the Holy Grail, man.
Oh yeah, I don't watch that shit.
Well, we gotta fix that.
I watch comedies, guys. Come on. Oh, I knew that one would get you guys. I like Monty Python. I really do. I knew that one was gonna get you guys.
Dick, Party of One.
I don't know what I like about that joke more, the joke itself or how much Brian loved it after he said it.
I think
he's still loving it. It's like a whole McDonald's ad commercial.
Yeah.
All right, we're done. Shut it off, Malachi. That's it.
Shut it.
We're done. No. I'm serious. I'm done. No, I'm serious. No, I'm done. I'm done. Oh no, you guys think I'm really mad. No, I'm not. I'm not really mad. I'm not. I promise. I'll put my headphones back on. I just naturally kind of sound angry and have what the kids call resting bitch face. I'm not.
You have resting bitch voice. You have resting dick voice.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Yeah. No, I think Mick Foley, he's there to pop a number. No matter what you see him, he has one of the most diehard fan bases, period. I mentioned us seeing him at that live speaking show just to say that which was a delight. I loved that show. Thank you very much, Hines, for giving me the opportunity to go.
That's all right, man. I saw him once before. I know how good he is.
But as soon as he's on stage, the guy had to. This is a guy who you have seen do incredible things with his body. Mm-hmm. He had to have someone put a box down on the stage as a stair for him because he could not fully extend his leg all the way up. It didn't matter that he could barely move. The guy oozes charisma. From the moment that you saw him, the entirety of everyone there was in the palm of his hands. That's why you have someone like Mick Foley come to an event, even if it's just for a night. Even if it's just for a night.
We were on the front row. Like I could have literally reached up and hit him with the people's elbow.
Yeah.
Had I had access to a people's elbow. I only have mine. So here's the thing. I would expect that Mick Foley coming to the Nightmare Rumble is a one-off, except everything about that announcement was like, I'm going to be doing a bunch of stuff, and I'll explain kind of what gets started when I see you. And do we really think it's going to be an ongoing thing? Do we think we're going to see him multiple times over the next few months?
I don't know.
I think he's there to pop a number, and he will.
So he's going to drop a deuce.
He might do that. I heard he's a big fan of Whataburger, so he probably is working on something. But I hate to sound like I'm a dumb mark and that I'm getting worked, but I do think that there is a lot of suggestion in his statements thus far that this is not a one-off appearance.
Right. He's like, I will explain my role. Like, this is just the introduction.
Having said that, I do think that you put Mick Foley on a poster so that you can sell tickets to.
Well, yeah, he's a draw.
Yeah,
that is the industry term that applies.
I could see it going either way. I just would hate to sound like a dumb mark and be like, no, he said it, so that means it's true. He's gonna be there for a long time, guys. Like, I don't know. I could really see it either way, though. I really could.
It just doesn't seem likely, but I'd love it. I mean,
maybe he's going to be like a special MC for the night, like, and it's going to be like Battle of the Network Stars or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's less than a week for we'll get to see the man himself live in person. So
bang bang, have a nice day.
Indeed, we will have a nice day.
Is that by my estimation? We've covered a lot, basically.
So we've covered every belt.
We've covered the events.
Both the big belts. We've covered the women's belt, the tag
Country Boy
belts,
Brewing.
the Country Boy belt, the Rush belt. So that's all of them. Is there any stories outside of the belts that we think we're confident enough? Oh, I know what we want to talk about. Let's talk about Dream Girl Ellie.
Oh yeah,
who seems to be becoming Nightmare Girl Ellie. Or I really loved your Mean Girl Ellie. That was great.
Yeah, thank you.
She can. I'll speak for you, Brian. So she can have that one.
Yeah.
That's our gift to you.
Yes, because her and her traveling partner Orion, they both have gone formerly Blanco Loco. They've gone through a big transition. What do we think about? Do we think they're going to get a push in OVW? Do we think that we might see them elsewhere? Where do we?
Yes, and yes.
We know that they have a big 2024 ahead of them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I do think right now Orion looks like a world killer.
Yeah.
Like I think it would be a shame to lose him, but if he's chasing other opportunities, I would never expect him not to.
No.
But I do think that right now, with the way he looks, and the gimmick change,
they've both grown leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I really think it would be a shame to lose him right now because it does seem like he's at the top of his game. Like he seems like he's developed into quite the ring general.
Yeah.
Excuse me. With Dream Girl Ellie, I would not have changed her at this point. I still don't really know where that whole thing is going. I could see either way that within 3 weeks she's back to the old Dream Girl Ellie, or in 6 months she's back to the old Dream Girl Ellie after a great, storyline. But right now, I just need a little bit of time to figure out if that thing has any momentum or legs. Because right now it just seems a little aimless for me personally.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where these stories pick up when we get our first installment of the new year this coming Thursday.
Your birthday present.
Damn right it is.
And I think we will be there as well. So the three of us will be going there. So looking forward to getting back to the action.
I do have something I have to do. It's a rally to remember some very brave people that did something really historic on January 6th. But I think I still will have the time to get to Davis Arena that night after that rally. It's kind of a secret thing, but.
Oh, boy. Yeah. All right. So one more thing I want to do this evening before we go, gentlemen, is...
EC3 will be there.
Are you taking pictures of us?
I'm now taking pictures of my phone because we are actually live in the unofficial OVW fan site.
Hey.
Okay.
So, guys, if you're seeing this video, I don't know if anybody will show up or not, but I'm going to stick in. I thought we'd stick in here a few minutes. I want to talk about the fan site. Now he's taking a picture of me.
One of my hobbies is taking pictures of people taking pictures, and it has been for over 4 years.
Hey, Dustin, welcome to the stream. This is our first
Dustin.
time.
Hey.
This is so this will actually be in the OVW podcast tomorrow. This is being recorded, and there's Pat. Pat has watched us.
Hey, Pat.
Really? Hey,
Yep.
Pat, that's where it's at.
So welcome everybody, and just kind of showing everybody off. And look, senior producer Victor has arrived in the video.
Hey, what's up,
Victor?
man?
You're gonna love this episode, man. This has been the best episode we've ever done. I promise.
I want to see this business.
This is high quality stuff that we've managed to put together around here.
Hey, look.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
We're watching us as we're doing this because you're recording us, and I'm recording you recording us, and I'm watching us. being
I'm
recorded
pretty sure
by
we're
you.
going to generate a black hole if we keep this up.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I don't,
We're
this is exactly
definitely
why
going to
I'm
mess
not
up
on
the
social
space-time
media.
continuum for sure.
Is shit like this.
Wait a minute. I just realized.
Wait, what?
Oh.
You know what?
There he is, folks.
Malachi, P.S. Woodard, baby.
Yeah.
And now that we have him on camera, remind the folks at home what PS stands for, because I'm his dad.
Purely
And it's
sexy.
Yeah, it's not really something I can say. I love that he just sits there giving me the smoldering look.
Smoldering. Talk
It's
about
just-
deer and
That's
headlights.
what I'm saying, man.
He's just smoldering.
Is even when he's trying to look mad, he's like
Mecca Malachi, Mecca Heine Ho.
he's mad in that
Mecca
way that like
Malachi,
he's like
Mecca
disappointed
Heine
in
Ho.
you, but like he's gonna make sure that like you do better next time.
No, that's the look of a feral cat who is going to claw your damn face off for getting too close to them.
Nah,
so watch out.
He's strong but gentle. Like
What is he, a toilet paper? He's Charmin. He's one of the shitter bears or something.
nah, he's a main character from a book that Fabio was on in the 90s.
So he's a romance novel.
Yeah, he's strong but gentle. He's firm where it needs to count, you know.
Okay. So, folks,
Wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up shortly. But we were requested, a couple
Like I
of our
said,
people.
Victor, this is the best episode we've ever recorded. I promise.
It's going to be great for sure.
As far as you know.
So yeah, we were asked if there was an OVW fan site, and there was one existing on Facebook, but nobody had done anything with it since 2017. Okay. And when I tried to message the admin, they didn't answer. I assume they're just not on Facebook anymore, or at least not with that account. So
Maybe
it's pretty much abandoned. So now we've created our own. There's Miranda Jenkins has joined us.
Women don't listen to this. Don't lie to me.
I mean, it says Miranda Jenkins. I don't know what you want. Welcome, Miranda. Thanks for joining us.
I'm done.
Greetings, aloha,
Thanks,
and Happy New
Thank
Year.
you, Miranda.
So this and so if you're listening and you're not a member of the OVW unofficial OVW fan site is what it's called.
And if we could I just would like to clarify this for my own understanding. This is a place for fans of Ohio Valley Wrestling to congregate, not for fans of this podcast. We would love if people from this podcast congregated here, but it's not a thing that we're doing for us. We have our own social media pages. This is
for the fans. Yeah. We're kind of moderating it and helping it grow. Jason and Neil have both joined us in the last while you were talking, so welcome to them.
This one's for the children, and I believe that the children are our future.
If you teach them well, you can let them lead the way. I think that's
show them all the beauty that they possess inside,
and other things.
Yeah.
So come and join us. And this isn't for us. This isn't self-masturbatory of any sort. This is just a place.
No,
where
we have a whole podcast to masturbate.
Exactly. I mean, we're all white. Vague. Well, we're middle aged. You're still a young guy, Jackman. But
I don't know.
We
why
have a podcast.
Why do you think since we went on video, I started wearing a hat? It's because my hair doesn't look very middle aged. It's coming in pretty gray.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
At least it's still coming in.
Yeah, that's true. I'll take that.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this live video. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. And you can see our entire 2024 predictions show in the podcast feed in the morning. And
as well as the full Al Snow video.
Yes, I'm going to get that posted to the YouTube channel. So look for that.
Be ready for tons of your mom jokes.
Don't take a drink every time the man makes a your mama joke. You will die.
No, and I had to stress to my son that I did not make any of the your mom jokes because he wanted to know what my joke was, and I was like, hold up, I didn't make any your mom jokes. They all came
Wesley
from the big
just
man
joined
himself.
us.
Hello.
Also, don't
Shut
try
up, Wesley.
Don't try to drink every
No,
time
Wesley, feel
Al
free not
Snow
to shut up.
says. Don't try to drink every time Al Snow makes a your mom joke, and don't try to drink with Al Snow.
No.
That man can drink.
Yeah,
to be sure.
And
I'm
no slouch.
No.
I'm not very talented at a lot of things. I'm not very smart. I've never been very pretty, but I've been always pretty good at drinking. And Al Snow can fucking lay it down, baby.
OVW star DGET Bundles, the hustler, has hustled his way
no.
into the live chat.
Hey, what's up, man?
No.
We were talking earlier today. My brother hooked me up with a sweet Mike Tyson's Punch-Out shirt for Christmas, and I made sure to send him a picture because we were talking about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
In fact,
what's
generally,
up, my dude?
I think that we really have to start doing some playing some wrestling video games on stream.
Yeah.
I think that is important, and we need to do that very soon.
I'm going to take my...
welcome to Get. We are so proud to have you.
Just to confirm,
thanks for joining us.
is live in our stream right now.
I mean, he could have left. The notification says he's there.
He at least knows that I exist.
He does.
So there's a potential chance he's heard.
As I understand it, 50% of our podcast broadcast team has to get Brundle's phone number.
Okay.
So not to brag on anybody who also was named Brian. So I hate to wrap. There's now 6 people in the chat, folks.
Maybe this is just a
precursor
for what's to come.
Let's hop off here and let's tell some fucking stories. Actually,
all right. So why don't we close up the episode?
Yeah.
Hush.
So do you have the end read there? I know this isn't a normal episode, so I didn't give you a full note sheet.
I think I can probably do it.
I've
got it right here.
We could split it. And it's like, and the nominees are, and the award goes to.
So yeah, close it up, and then you guys, everybody, stay in the live chat. We will stay online
unless they get bundles.
Yeah. And if anybody has any questions, drop them in.
I'm really sorry.
Please don't beat him up, I think is what he's trying to say.
Beat him up.
Well, yeah, that would be fun. Make sure you
probably
do it on
not.
video.
It's going to make my job harder. But
just make sure you're live streaming it while you beat me up. The OVW Podcast, the 10th annual Carney Award-nominated unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling, is produced by Blacklight Moon Productions at Nut House Studios in Lexington, Kentucky. The OVW Podcast broadcast team is Jackman, Ochs, and Brian Hines.
B. Hines.
Our studio engineer and editor is Malachi P.S. Woodard. Executive producer is Tyni Brian K. Woodard. Senior producer for the BLMP is Victor Anderson. After watching Wrestlers on Netflix, visit ovwpodcast.com/podcasters to find all of our episodes of our unofficial Wrestlers After Show. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast, rate us 5 stars, and give us a review. You can follow us at OVW Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and Brian.
Wherever you damn well please.
Thank you guys. If you're on the chat, we'll come up with something halfway entertaining to dignify your time.
Moderately.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Love you guys.
Thanks again.
All right. Cut.